Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the Freak Show. I am your host, Cinder Soleil. It's been a while since I've done a news day. I need to be better about that. And to be fair, there's not a lot of news that I feel comfortable covering. I'll try to throw in some randoms, some curveballs, some good news, just to hopefully add a little bit of white pill to your daily dose of black pill. Anyway. Speaking of black pills, we do got some serious topics that I want to cover. For real. Not a lot of people talk about this kind of stuff, or it's not getting talked about enough, I don't feel like, so I want to talk about it. U.S. military draft automatic registration. What laws say about eligibility? Yes. There have been many discussions in both the realm of actual politics and just in online discussions about the draft. Will it be used, will it not? And more importantly, who will apply? I remember there was a motion circulating. This was just on X. I did not look deep into it because this was late at night. I wanted to explore it more. The next day I remember, and then forgot to bookmark and I lost the post. I remember seeing that there was a motion, allegedly, that they were going to increase the age of eligibility for the draft, and if you test positive for marijuana, you will no longer be exempt. Reading this kind of stuff just spikes my anxiety. The draft is so fucked up on so many levels. Okay, let's read into this. The Selective Service System proposed a new rule that would automatically register eligible men for the United States military draft. Why it matters. The proposed rule change was filed in late March. Although there has been no confirmation that the federal government would turn to the draft, White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt said last month on Fox News Sunday Morning Futures that President Donald Trump wisely keeps his options on the table. Wisely keeping the option of forcing your boys to saddle up and go to war on the table. Lovely. Is there a U.S. military draft automatic registration? Currently, eligible men must register for the draft when they turn 18. Under the proposed rule change, that would be done automatically. How fucked up is that? When it comes to, gender equality, which, I'm a true gender equality kind of person, alright? I'll talk about women's issues where it matters, but I am also deep in the subject of men's rights and how fucked up a lot of the systems in America will treat men, from survivors of abuse, how victims are treated, the unequal resources and access to resources that they have, etc., etc. The draft is one of those things that I do really like to talk about. And there's some fellow MRAs, not manosphere influencers. There's a difference. I hate the manosphere as much as the next person, but the draft is something that I see talked about as far as in the subject of gender equality, and usually the option is, ladies, well, if you want gender equality, ladies, you're getting drafted too. How about nobody is forced to go out and die in wars? How about that? Man or woman? Am I the only one who thinks the draft, regardless of gender applicability, is just an extremely fucked up concept that's extremely outdated? Especially with the population as massive as it is today. I could see how this would have been a necessary sort of function, several centuries ago, where populations were thin, sickness was widespread, injuries were widespread, debilitating injury, like crippling injuries, so you couldn't fight. That was widespread. Okay, any sort of man, we're clinging, our country is clinging onto life by the skin of its teeth. If you can fight, men, pick up your swords, go out. I can see why that was necessary centuries ago. Not today. Today, I feel like, you have no problem finding people who will do it voluntarily. And if they don't want to go out and fight voluntarily, maybe that should say something about the state of our country. Hopefully this is making sense to you. I'm just rambling at this point. This subject makes me so mad. You guys might know if you've heard me talk enough, if you've joined my videos before. I have 3 brothers. I'm very close to my dad. I'm a tomboy at heart. I've always made friends with guys. I love my male family members, and the thought of them getting forcefully drafted and go out and fight or you're going to jail. My God. The mission of the draft is to register men and maintain a system that, when authorized by the President and Congress, rapidly provides manpower in a fair and just manner while managing an alternative service program for conscientious objectors, according to the SSS. Conscientious objectors I've heard about. I've heard, like, mixed ideologies about this. A lot of the, like, super Zionist, Warhawk, Lindsey Graham type backers, you know, all 2 of them on X, they'll be like, conscientious objection should not be fucking possible. If other countries will force you to go out and fight, why can't we? I'm sorry. Other countries don't have a First Amendment either. You want to start doing that too? And why is that an excuse? This is so fucked up. The proposal comes after Trump signed the FY 2026 NDAA into law, which would mandate automatic selective service registration. Oh, God. Agency engaged with Congress through the NDAA process regarding the automated legislative proposal. The statutory change transfers responsibility for registration from individual men to SSS through integration with federal data sources. SSS will implement the change by December 2026, resulting in streamlined registration process and corresponding workforce realignment. The SSS's website reads, instead of making it the responsibility of young men to sign themselves up, it'll be an automatic process. Which, how's that done? Is it part of your driver's license? Is it part of, like, you want to vote? Could there be an element of, you know, dare I say it, digital ID? How is this going to be implemented? I'll show you why this news, in combination with other things in the world going on, concerns me. Courtesy of Thomas Massie, the last politician I have net positive, not 100% positive, if only because he's a politician, but net positive, I would say, opinions about. Judge me. I'm gonna get flack from left and right just for talking about this guy, probably. I don't give a fuck. Whine about it in the comments. Trump is proposing an extension of warrantless spying, basically. FISA 702 allows the government to search for your information in vast databases compiled while targeting foreigners. Regardless of your opinion on that subject, because nobody wants to live in a surveillance state. Massie opposed that, and the right blew a fuse because how dare you go against Trump. So think about this. Trump wants to keep extending this warrantless spy method of American citizens, of American young men. We're talking about edits to the draft. We're talking about new implementations that would automatically register young men for the draft. Am I the only one who's kind of concerned the direction, even if they're not related, even if I'm crazy, if I'm a fucking conspiracy theorist? Am I the only one who, like, reads all these current news and starts to worry? What do I know? I'm just a lady. I'm not the one who has to worry about being thrown a gun and told to get out in the fields of fucking Iraq or Iran. Which laws established the draft? The draft was established by the Military Selective Service Act, originally passed in 1948. It allows Congress to raise armed forces through conscription while setting rules for exemptions, deferments, and conscientious objectors. Yes, obviously exemptions exist. You can't serve if you have a crippling injury or illness, chronic illness like diabetes. And conscientious objecting, again, I've heard mixed stories about. There's a reason that draft dodging was a thing, I'm guessing. Why else would you have this long-known thing of draft dodging? Like, you know, telling the military you have bone spurs. I swear to God, if we come full circle, imagine we come full circle. God forbid the draft is used. And Barron Trump's excuse to dodge it is fucking bone spurs. Oh, fuck my life. Article 1, Section 8 of the Constitution also gives Congress power to raise and support armies, but no appropriation of money to that use shall be for a longer term than 2 years. You know what I bet the catch here is knowing the way our Constitution is worded, and knowing the actual meaning behind so many things written in the Constitution, this probably means raising an army to defend domestically. This probably means raising an army in case of foreign invasion onto us. Not the other way around. Just saying. In 2024, a bipartisan coalition of senators, including Oregon Democrat Ron Wyden, Kentucky Republican Rand Paul, and Wyoming Republican Cynthia Lummis, introduced a bill to abolish the draft. Fucking base, this is why I like Rand Paul. Again, bitch and moan about it in the comments. I'm not giving my full, undying 100% I love every single thing you've ever done in Congress support to Rand Paul or Thomas Massie or any politician, no matter how much I like them. But credit where credit is due. That is fucking based. I really hope we can bring that back and do it again. I really hope. But unfortunately, knowing the amount of yes men, knowing the amount of APAC bot drones, knowing the amount of just absolute nonsense in our Congress is probably not going to happen. The problem with our Congress isn't Thomas Massie or people like him, it's that we don't have so much more of him. It has been over 50 years since the draft was last used. I've long stated that if a war is worth fighting, Congress will vote to declare it and people will volunteer. Thank you, yes! Oh my god, that's poetry. If a war is worth fighting, Congress will vote to declare it and people will volunteer. This outdated government program no longer serves a purpose and should be eliminated permanently. Paul said in a 2024 statement. Oh my god, I love this guy. Who is required to register for the draft? Virtually all men are required to register for the draft within 30 days of turning 18 years old. It's fucked up. You can argue, well, we're probably never going to use the draft again. Keyword probably. That alone should make you think this is not okay. Even if it is a low possibility, it's still a possibility. And it's so fucked. And as Mr. Paul said, if a war is worth fighting, people will volunteer. You don't need to fucking force it onto these young men. That is so I fucking hate the draft. I can't say it enough. This includes men who are religiously or morally opposed to participating in war as a that's one of it. Religiously or morally opposed to participating in a war as a conscientious objector. Remember what I said? I remember hearing mixed stories about conscientious objectors. Some people literally did go to jail for conscientious objection. Others actually did it, and the worst that happened was that they were called draft dodgers. So, religiously or morally opposed to what other reason would you have? So we make it a rule that you can object to being registered and forced to fight. It just can't happen from a religious or a moral stand. What other reason? You can't say sickness or illness or something, because that's already an exemption. Those rules are already established. That's not part of conscientious objection. The only other reason I can think of would be like personal responsibility, like, hey, I can't go out to fight. I have kids that are relying on me. I'm their only source of income. My wife can't work. Yada yada yada. Which, yeah, that's still fucked. I don't care if they're family men, and I don't care if they're fresh out of college, 18, living on their own apartment with nothing but, at most, a dog and a cat. You still should not be forced to fucking fight like that. I can't say it enough. The draft is such a fucked up idea. Men with disabilities and medical conditions are also required to register in most cases. I remember that too. Usually, even if you're doing it voluntarily, you can go try to sign up, and usually you'll get put into a pool. This is what I heard. allegedly, they might have changed it, this was a while ago. I don't know, I just remember hearing that you can try to sign up, or they'll put you in a pool or something, and then they'll tell them what you have going on, and then they'll kick you out based on that. I don't know if that would apply in like a draft setting, but from like a normal standpoint, I know. Basically, if you're trying to sign up, and then usually they don't immediately say, "Do you have diabetes?" You're out. They just put you in a pool, and then when your interview, or I don't know what they call it, but that's probably what this means. If I had to guess, because without a doubt, there are exemptions for disabilities and medical conditions. Oh yeah, there's also a cap on what they consider like a crippling disability or a crippling medical condition. For example, if you're literally missing one of your legs, obviously they're not gonna enlist you. If you have ADHD, which is technically a disability, yeah, you're probably getting enlisted regardless. Sorry to tell you, buddy. The only process now in effect is that men between the ages of 18 through 25 register with Selective Service and keep their registration record current during that period. Neither the Military Selective Service Act nor the Presidential Proclamation provide an exemption from registration because of a man's mental or physical condition, unless certain criteria are met, the SSS says. Exceptions are granted if a man is placed in a hospital, nursing home, long-term care facility, or mental institution on or before his 18th birthday, had no breaks of institutionalization of 30 days or longer, and remained institutionalized until his 26th birthday. Oh yeah, we have really generous exceptions. If you're literally locked up in a home from the day you turn 18 until the day you turn 26, yeah, you have an exception. You have a valid exception. What did I just read, man? Other exceptions include when he is confined to home and cannot leave without medical assistance. Men with disabilities that would not qualify for military service are still required to register with Selective Service. There's a difference between exemption from registration and classification in the event of a national emergency. Clergymen are also not exempt. Undocumented men must also register. Huh. Clergymen are also not exempt, but we're a Christian country, guys. Conscientious objections may later be raised. Those who are approved could be assigned to non-combat roles. Oh, great! You're still fucking forced to partake. I hate the draft. Did I say that already? What are the repercussions of refusing the draft? Refusing to register for the draft is a felony punishable by up to $250,000 and up to 5 years imprisonment, according to the SSS. Section 3811 makes it a crime to refuse to register or report for induction, to refuse service, or submit false information or documents to the SSS. Oh, fuck you, feds. If I was a dude, I'd send them the information of a fucking porn star, just to fuck with them. Yeah, get an eyeful of that, bitches. Will there be a military draft in 2026? There is no current draft. The law enables the government to begin a draft if needed. The last draft occurred in December 1972 to fill ranks during the Vietnam War and then moved to a volunteer system. Laws exist to allow the draft to be called in case of an emergency situation. The U.S. has employed conscription in 6 conflicts: Revolutionary War, Civil War, World War I, World War II, Korean Vietnam. Yeah, there's probably going to be some dude that catches me in the comments like, hey, technically there is no draft, so you're saying you can't register to the draft? Young men are forced to register to the draft. That's wrong. There is no draft. Sorry. I'm probably not using the right terminology, but you get the idea, dude. Levitt told Fox News in March, President Trump wisely does not remove options off the table. Fuck you. I know a lot of politicians like to do that quickly, but the president, as commander-in-chief, wants to continue to I know a lot of politicians like to do that quickly. First of all, I'm calling bullshit. But if a lot of politicians want to get the possibility of the draft off the table as quickly as possible, I wouldn't fucking blame them. I would vote for more of that. Thank you. But the president, as commander-in-chief, wants to continue to assess the success of the military operation. It's not part of the current plan right now, but the president, again, wisely keeps his options on the table. But as commander-in-chief, there's no greater priority or responsibility to this president, of course, than protecting the American people and protecting our troops. Protecting the American people. Sign up for the draft, bitch, otherwise you go to jail. Go die in Iran, otherwise you go to jail. Conscientious objection, religious or moral standpoint? Okay, but you still have to work in the headquarters or whatever. You still gotta work from afar and, you know, still be a military target. Oh, this was all so annoying to read. Oh my god, I hate this so much. That's what you can know about the draft. Our boys and our men should not be forcefully enlisted and forced to fight in these conflicts that would not exist if not for our president. Again, from a constitutional standpoint, I don't think this applies to foreign entanglements. And centuries ago, maybe it was necessary because it was so hard to find young men that were capable of fighting. We're in fucking 2026, bitch. There's so many instances where people like to pretend that laws do or don't apply ages ago to now, that nothing's changed about them. This is one of those things where it actually makes sense to me. Yes, things are fucking different in 2026, and young men should not be forced to fight. Anyway, let's move on to the next topic. This is infuriating me. I need to do a whole episode on Epstein files updates, because I hate how this subject has been conveniently swept under the rug. I'm not forgetting this. I'm not forgetting what I read. I'm not forgetting what our own country leaders, what our own elites, I hate calling them elites, because elites would imply there's some kind of, you know, special aura about them. They're really just fucking satanic assholes that happen to be rich. I don't want to let this topic die out. Pam Bondi, vomit, won't testify over Epstein files after being fired, the DOJ says. Convenient, Bam. Pam Bondi won't testify next week about her handling of millions of files related to the accused sex trafficker Jeffrey Epstein, a top Justice Department official said in an April 8th letter to Congress. Assistant Attorney General Patrick Davis wrote to Representative James Comer, the chairman of the House Oversight Committee, that Bondi is not bound by a subpoena anymore since she is no longer the Attorney General. The subpoena was issued after a bipartisan vote by lawmakers on the panel in early March, about a month before President Donald Trump fired Bondi on April 2nd. Bondi is no longer bound by a subpoena anymore since she is no longer the Attorney General. But we had no problem subpoenaing like the last 7 Attorney Generals in this case. What the fuck? Why is that a valid excuse? By the same logic, none of them, and they should be subpoenaed, because a lot of these guys were part of the administrations that cut Jeffrey Epstein easy deals repeatedly. I have questions for that guy. I would. I don't care if he is the former Attorney General, so what's he gonna do? I don't care if he's... I don't fucking care. We should ask questions to that guy. You know who else we should be asking questions to? Fucking Pam Bondi. Why the fuck, when asked about why you failed so fucking miserably in getting these files out, your immediate reaction was just turn and say, well, have you seen Wall Street? Look how great they're doing. It's insane. It's literally insane. We question all these guys. Question everybody. Trust nobody. They're all fucking dirty. At least she was fired, period. I wonder if that was because of how open she was. Like, the files are on my desk. I wonder if she wasn't supposed to do that. And I wonder if she was finally cracking. I wonder what led to this fight. Because she isn't stepping down. The heat's not, like, getting to her, and she's like, I can't do it anymore. She was fired. And, of course, you can read the reasons online, but, you know. Can you really, you know? Do you really know the real reasons? Yeah. Especially in this high-profile case that just so happens to involve so many politicians, old and current, including our own president. I hate this world. We kindly ask that you confirm that the subpoena is withdrawn, Davis said. The department remains committed to working cooperatively with the committee and continues to believe that additional compulsory process is unnecessary in light of our demonstrated willingness to voluntarily assist your oversight efforts. The letter created a cloud of uncertainty around Bondi's scheduled Tuesday, April 14th deposition. It also set off frustration among Republicans and Democrats on Capitol Hill who are clamoring for answers about why the Justice Department hasn't, in their view, fully complied with the Epstein files transparency. Fully complied? They've barely complied. We had to twist their fucking arms to get the documents we do have, and they're still extremely redacted. And if you look at the reasons for the redactions, half of it, I'm willing to bet half of it, is not fucking victim names. It's not like these people were proven beyond a shadow of a doubt 100%. They're just innocent bystanders. We're talking like people they were just censored because they have a high profile career. And we don't want to damage the elitist rich people, their reputation. I hate the guilty until proven innocent sort of rhetoric, especially on in these internet spats, right? Like, lady accuses man of SA. It's not the lady's responsibility to prove it, it's the man's responsibility to show he didn't. Yeah, sure enough, so fucking many false accusations. And I feel so bad for actual victims because of that, because holy fuck, the damage that does to their credibility. It's not just a male issue, it is an issue for real victims. That's why I hate guilty until proven innocent. This case is pretty fucking different. When the DOJ, after twisting, and we likely would not have gotten those files if not for fucking Massie and Kana. You know, the fake Republican. I'm sorry, how did Trump get elected? Wasn't it reaching across the aisle? This is an issue larger than parties. We're reaching out to the centrists, the libertarians, the Democrats. Did everybody suddenly forget that some of the most prominent members of his party, of his cabinet, were fucking RFK Jr. and Tulsi Gabbard? Tulsi's not a Democrat anymore, she's independent, but she was a Democrat for like her whole life. RFK is still a Democrat. And now that we're actually asking about this, it was specifically this issue, where suddenly if you were like Massie, and you want to reach across the aisle, you want to work with your Democrats to fight for a same cause, and suddenly you're working with Democrats, you're a fake Republican. Wow, what a party traitor. Don't you love politics, guys? Don't you just love politics? Don't you just love Republicans? Don't you just love Democrats? Don't you just love everybody? Politics is one big giant fucking circus, and everybody in it, just about everybody in it, is a fucking clown. And I don't mean it's the fun kind of circus, I mean it is the drunk, crack-induced, run-down, ghetto sort of circus, where you are likely to get tetanus, and a clown will stalk you home in the form of the NSA, CIA, FBI, whatever. Take your pick. I see it as a problem when we get a document, and the document is showing us straight from the horse's mouth. This isn't like an accusation. Straight from the horse's mouth, somebody is telling Jeffrey Epstein, the notorious child trafficker, hey, I sent you the torture video. I effing loved it, or whatever it was. Talking about torture videos. And the reason the sender's name is censored is because they just have a prominent political career. We don't want to ruin their reputation with these false accusations. It came straight from his own fucking mouth, apparently, to Jeffrey Epstein. Fucking Lutnick, giggling like a schoolgirl in the corner every time he's brought up. I met Jeffrey once and he said a lewd joke about the massage table, and then I left in a huff with my dignity. And then the files come out and he repeatedly visited the island with his own kids. You can't make it up. You cannot make up how fucked up the whole Epstein Files situation is. You really can't. And you cannot make up how absolutely fucking ridiculous it is that these people, these alleged, these people of justice, these people who want justice and to catch the criminals and to restore law and order to America. I remember that being quite a platform for the original MAGA movement. They're more worried about protecting elitist child traffickers, allegedly. They're more concerned about protecting their political careers than actually getting justice. Who Alan Dershowitz, Epstein's lawyer, is now calling a bunch of overage junkies, whores, and prostitutes that were doing illegal things, and he's going to sue them for it. I'm not kidding. We covered that a while ago. That is the kind of person that I would use as hamburger meat in my fucking circus. He's not, I wouldn't want to eat someone like that. What am I saying? I wouldn't want to feed that to my pigs either. Pigs deserve better. Drop it in the comments. What, as a crazy clown girl, because laws don't apply to the crazy anime clown girl, of course. So don't worry about it. What is a deserving punishment for child traffickers? For people guilty of what we read in the Epstein Files? For people who would defend them? Drop it in the comments. A Department of Justice with nothing to hide doesn't avoid a subpoena, Representative Nancy Mace, Republican South Carolina, said in a social media post. Mace was one of several GOP lawmakers who voted to compel Bondi to testify about the bungled release of the Epstein Files. There's a lot I could criticize about Nancy Mace, but I don't... Good. There's some shit I've read about Nancy Mace that I wish I didn't. But you know what? We need more people doing this, so good on her for that much. Officials on the GOP-led House Oversight Committee said they plan to reach out to Bondi's personal lawyers about scheduling a deposition. Representative Robert Garcia, Democrat of California, the top Democrat on the panel and a vocal advocate for Epstein survivors, said in a statement that the subpoena still applies to Bondi, whether she is the Attorney General or not. Thank you! Yes? Fact check true? No lies detected? He said he would push to hold her in contempt of Congress if she defied the order. Conviction of criminal contempt charges can come with jail time. The survivors deserve justice. I'm not a fan of Democrats any more than I am a fan of establishment Republicans. But you know what? Oh my god. Thank you, Robert Garcia. Thank you. Do something with Bondi. The way she has handled this case, something feels illegal. Something feels like it deserves jail time. If jail time actually meant something when it came to these people. Usually it doesn't. But still, my god. Okay, we have one more story regarding Epstein. And then we're going to dip into some oddball subjects. Still interesting, still currently happening, still currently going on. Some a little serious, some kind of wacky. Stick around for your dose of white pill with black pill. You need to take them both, okay? You need to take them both. And remember, if you want to skip the remaining story, if the subject bums you out too much, go into my description box down there and you will find timestamps. You should also see chapter markers in the little slider bar. Yeah. Anyway, on to the next story. Melania Trump delivers statement at the White House denying knowledge of Jeffrey Epstein's crimes. When it comes to the Epstein Files, I remember Donald Trump was a big name. I think Donald Trump Jr. came up in there a few times. I remember Ivanka Trump, or Ivana Trump, one or the other, they came up. I remember a lot of members of the Trump family. I don't remember I'm sure she came up, without a doubt, but I don't remember looking into Melania as far as the files, so I read this and I'm like, what's up with you? Did somebody decide to look into that after seeing your dogshit movie? First Lady Melania Trump is denying ties to Jeffrey Epstein and knowledge of his sex crimes, saying Thursday that the stories are completely false, and calling accusations that she was somehow involved smears about me. Okay, so defensive right off the bat. Again, while I was looking at the Epstein Files, I remember looking a lot into Donald Trump. I remember looking into his kids. I do not remember Melania Trump and didn't look too deep into it. I haven't gone down that rabbit hole. Maybe it's a deeper rabbit hole than I thought. Maybe it's just she comes up pretty much in tandem with Trump. I wouldn't be surprised. Either way, the fact that people are accusing her, like, knowledge of... That's interesting. That's... I'd be lying if I was saying there wasn't really creepy stories involving Trump in the files. And yeah, you can say, well, none of this proven, or it came from invalid sources, people with mental conditions, impossible. The only one that I gave credence to was one of them would have happened at like in a place that didn't possibly exist at the time she's saying it happened. Okay. But there's still so much in the files that's so fucking creepy. So let me know what you think about that. Do you think, like, do you see that kind of stuff and you just like, yeah, it's creepy, but he probably didn't do anything, the files kind of vindicated him? Or are you kind of like, oh fuck, they're all dirty? I'm not judging either way, but I really wouldn't blame you for the latter. Reading an extraordinary statement at the White House, Melania Trump said she and her attorneys were fighting back against unfounded and baseless lies in regard to her connections to the late financier, a convicted sex offender who leveraged his connections to the rich, powerful, and famous to recruit his victims and cover up his crimes. Another thing, you look into like how deep this kind of web ran, his little web ran. It spans across multiple countries. It spans across multiple levels of power. It spans across multiple industries. Not just networking, not just like his, finding business people, but like talking like about this creepy shit, inviting people to the island, things like that. And of course, the people who have been outright proven to be offenders themselves, who were also accused. So this isn't, they're already convicted offenders. It's not far off to be saying they were recruiting for Epstein, as implied in the files too. People like that French modeling agent and stuff. It's fucking creepy, man. It's wild how just, and it's another reason that I don't trust so much about what gets said to it. It's another reason that I'm questioning everything, because like this is a case that involves not just powerful people in our country, but powerful people in other people's countries. We already know Prince Andrew is involved. We already know there was a former Norwegian prime minister that got I want to say he was arrested. Yeah, he was arrested. He was the first arrest. There was a ex-Israeli prime minister. Holy crap, a lot of shit with Israel. I'm not, again, don't take that as me being the Israel crazy. I know there's a lot of crazy shit when it comes to Israel on both sides, if you go to the radical ends at least. I'm just saying there was creepy shit involving Epstein and the Israeli government. The lies linking me with the disgraceful Jeffrey Epstein need to end today, she said. The individuals lying about me are devoid of ethical standards, humility, and respect. I do not object to their ignorance, but rather I reject their mean-spirited attempts to defeat. Oh, I'm sorry. People are trying to get to the bottom of this twisted-ass web that involves torturing children for many years and potentially murdering them, but you're worried about people being mean to you. You destroyed your own reputation with that movie, by the way. The seemingly out-of-the-blue message came as her husband, President Donald Trump, and his administration had finally seemed to move past more than a year of controversy surrounding Epstein, especially as the Iran war had become an all-consuming topic in Washington. Convenient. There are conspiracy theorists on X that literally say we are only fighting in Iran to cover up the Epstein issue, especially because they started quietly taking down Epstein files on the DOJ's website when the news were all out about America bombing Iran. I think that's a little bit of a stretch, but I think it's really fucking convenient. House Democrats released photos of Trump, Clinton, and Andrew from Epstein's estate. Yeah, Clinton and Andrew are dirty as hell, but Trump, he was just happened to be there. He's not part of this. I also hate how when you talk about Trump's guilty as hell, it automatically means you're saying Bill Clinton and like any sort of Democrat involved with the files. Like people want to make this a party issue even within this fucking case. I say they're all fucking dirty, man. Regardless of party, regardless of status. None of it's proven in a court of law, none of it's gone to trial, blah 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 blah, all that, you know. I should say, you can't trust any of them, because look at this shit. The First Lady's comments almost assuredly will serve to push the story back into the political spotlight, even as the president urged the public and media to move on from the case. Melania Trump. I know, there's a lot I can say about Melania Trump that I don't like, but I do know she's done a lot of work with, like, foster care, things like that. Child victims of abuse, child victims of war, orphans of war, things like that. I know Melania Trump has done a lot of work as far as when it comes to like kids and protecting victims and stuff. So I wonder if she's not even being accused that much, and this is just her way of sneakily getting back into the spotlight. Because you know she's not with Trump for. Oh my god! I just had a brain smart. Remember how Trump allegedly started to just demolish like a whole wing of the White House because it was so important to have a ballroom? And part of demolishing that specific area of the White House included demolishing Melania Trump's personal office. And now Melania Trump is bringing this subject back into the spotlight, despite the president himself, her husband, urging the public and the media to move on. What do you think this relationship, quote unquote, looks like behind closed doors? I think it's pretty fucking ugly at this point. I wonder if she's bringing this up solely to bring this case back into the spotlight just to spite Trump. They probably fucking hate each other, dude. I wouldn't blame her either. I mean, we know Trump's track record with his wives. Just saying. Nick Clemens, a spokesperson for the First Lady, said the West Wing was aware beforehand that she was making a statement, but he deferred to the West Wing on whether the content of what Melania Trump planned to say was known. The White House press office did not respond to requests for comment. Calls for a congressional hearing for Epstein victims. The First Lady spoke for about 5 minutes, reading her statement in the grand foyer, then walked away without taking questions. She did not go into detail on the accusations against her, but said they came from individuals and entities looking to cause damage to my good name. She added that they were financially and politically motivated. Oh, sure. And you're not. Melania Trump also called on Congress to hold a public hearing centered on survivors of Epstein's crimes, with a chance to testify before lawmakers and have their stories entered into the congressional record. Oh, fuck. Anyone close to Trump in this Epstein case has been, like, dreading the idea of the survivors speaking. They've been trying to kite these survivors. These survivors show up in fucking hearings, and they will ignore. You remember Pam Bondi, when the Epstein victims stood behind her and she just couldn't even look at them. You know, some people might look at this and say, look at how reputable the Trumps are. Would they do this if they were guilty? In combination with everything I know about Donald Trump and his wives, and taking into account all the little jabs you see here and there, I think it's quite possible she could be doing this out of spite toward Trump. But you know what? If it progresses the case, I'll take it. Each and every woman should have her day to tell her story in public if she wishes, she said. Then and only then we will have the truth. Two of Epstein's accusers, Maria and Annie Farmer, said in a subsequent statement, "What we want is accountability, transparency, and justice." Former Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene, a Georgia Republican and one-time fierce Trump supporter who resigned from Congress after a public falling out with the president, posted on X, "I'm grateful to the First Lady for her brave statement today about Epstein and his victims." I remember people saying that there's like a reason Greene dropped out, and some were saying blackmail, some were saying she plans to run. Do you think she's planning to run for like a higher position? Senate, governor would be interesting. Democrats, meanwhile, jumped on Melania Trump's comments, saying they agreed with her call for a congressional hearing. In a social media post, Representative Robert Garcia, this guy again, the top Democrat on the House Oversight Committee that is investigating Epstein, called on the Republican chair of the committee, Representative James Comer, to schedule a public hearing immediately. Representative Thomas Massie, Representative of Kentucky, who sponsored a bill promoting the release of millions of Epstein documents, turned attention back to the Justice Department, saying it's the Attorney General's job to bring in survivors for testimony. Massie, who has pressed for more arrests in the Epstein case, ended a social media post with a call to prosecute. Yes. And we talked about, well, why isn't Massie just dropping the names? Why isn't he letting the survivors... We went over that. We went over that in a past video. In short, if Massie just lets the Epstein survivors say the names of who abused them, if we're lucky, we might get an investigation that'll go nowhere. If we pressure the agencies to release what they already have and pursue these investigations themselves and release the information themselves, not only is there a layer of protection for these victims because, high-profile figures, it's their fucking job. Again, we went over that whole topic in one of my past Epstein/Massie drama videos. I'll see if I can link it in the description if you want to be brought up to speed about that. Questions about Epstein's reach have loomed over the administration and divided Republicans, driving a wedge into Trump's MAGA base as some pressed for the government to release more files and prosecute figures linked to the financier. The issue has dogged Trump and fractured some of his alliances, including the one with Green. Trump dismissed the issue as a Democrat hoax, but later signed a bill to release files from the Epstein's case. It was not clear what prompted the First Lady to revive the issue. Spite. I'm saying my money's on spite. She noted that several individuals and organizations have had to apologize for their lies about me. Who? The organizations paid to give your movie a good review? I don't know what you're talking about. Of the examples she cited, the most recent was in October. In that case, book publisher HarperCollins UK apologized to the First Lady and retracted passages from a book, suggesting Epstein played a role in introducing her and Donald Trump. Oh, that was it? Melania Trump mentioned her husband several times in her comments. She said Epstein did not introduce her to Trump and that she met her future husband at a New York City party in 1990. A New York City party in 1998. Epstein didn't introduce us, he was just there for it. Is that what the implication is? I wonder. The First Lady brought Epstein back to the forefront months after federal authorities released millions of pages of documents under the Epstein Files Transparency Act, the law enacted after months of public and political pressure that requires the government to open its files on the late financier and his confidant and one-time girlfriend, Ghislaine Maxwell. Lawmakers complained when the Justice Department made only a limited release last month, but officials said more time was needed to review additional documents that were discovered and to ensure no sensitive information about victims was released. Hold on, we can't do it now, we still have documents to burn. Melania Trump said Thursday that she was not friends with Epstein or Maxwell, but was in overlapping social circles in New York and Florida. Oh, sure. She described an email reply she sent to Maxwell as casual correspondence without elaborating. My polite reply to her email doesn't amount to anything more than a trivial note, she said. Among the documents released by the Justice Department was a brief email from 2002 with the sender and recipient blacked out. It begins, Dear G, and ends, Love Melania, and compliments the recipient on a magazine article about J.E. I know you are very busy flying all over the world, it says. How is Palm Beach? I cannot wait to go down. Give me a call when you are back in New York. The email was sent the same month that a New York Magazine article was published about Epstein, in which Trump called him a terrific guy. Terrific guy. Yep. Among other documents released was an image from Epstein's home showing a series of photographs along a credenza and its drawers. In that image, inside a drawer among other photos, was a photograph of Trump, alongside Epstein, Melania Trump, and Maxwell. Epstein didn't kill himself in 2019 while awaiting trial on trafficking charges in New York. Maxwell was convicted in 2021 of luring teenage girls to be abused by Epstein and was sentenced to 20 years in prison. One of the most notorious child traffickers in recent history. But he only trafficked to himself, guys. Only to himself. Maybe Bill Clinton, possibly, if it's politically convenient. Otherwise, he only trafficked to himself. The incentive for Maxwell to enlist hundreds of girls? Nothing more than just getting some ass for her boy, apparently she's a cuck, I don't know. It's so fucked up. I fucking hate the Epstein case. There's so much that's so fucked up about this. You, yes you. Are you passionate about VTubing? Do you just really like VTubers? Are you a streamer looking for any sort of new way to network? Are you looking to collab with VTubers? Are you looking to do anything in relation to this wacky space we call streaming? I think I have a tool that might just help you along. It is called VtuberNet. VtuberNet is a brand new website/app brought to you by Lunamoon Official over on Twitch and YouTube. You can find him. This will make networking, especially in regard to VTubers, but also, as you can see from our talent page, streamers, agencies, and corporations, a cinch. As you can see, we already have some great upcoming names that have joined, including your favorite red and black crazy ringmaster freak show clown girl. And of course, in case you're interested, our very own Papa Moon, the founder and creator of this lovely project. VtuberNet includes a bunch of awesome features so far. You can show if you're open to collabs or not. You can link your streams in all of your socials and all your accounts. You can post some of your favorite games to make finding collab buddies even easier. You can show what you're looking for, gaming buddies, any collabs, chat friends, and more. You can include a stream calendar so you know what your favorite VTubers are doing, or so you can update yourself what your schedule will be and others can get a sneak peek. I think this is a pretty cool feature. You can post collab reviews about other VTubers that you've collabed with if you recommend them, and to show areas for improvement to the VTuber. You can include featured content, photo albums, video albums to show off some of your projects, and leave fan messages for your favorite VTubers and streamers on this website. It is super user-friendly and so easy to use, which is something I absolutely love to see in new apps and websites. Rumble, you could be taking notes. You can talk about what content types you do. You can show what platforms you do. Your subscriber count, in case you care about that. Schedule notes. And you can refine what you're looking for again. Gaming buddies, singing partners, chat friends, art collabs, any collabs, long-term partners, one-time collabs, whatever you're looking for. Favorite games, and of course languages, as well as a main feed where you can see posts from anybody on the site. VtuberNet has a messages feature, community feature, request features, fans features, collab features, and, I think this is super cool, an AI-powered match system. So in case you're looking for a collab over a specific game or content, but you're not sure really where to start, you can use this handy-dandy feature to find matches. Just click away. It'll analyze your account and find the best match for you. It brought up my buddy Ross here, and it brought up Autumn the Slime. I have heard of Autumn the Slime, but I haven't much looked into their content, so I think this is interesting. I might just have to. Thank you, VtuberNet. It's completely free. Free to make an account, free to download the app, 100% free. And the best part is that this site has some awesome bot protection, so you should not see any bots. Scammers should not be a concern whatsoever. And if they do become a concern, just report them to Papa Moon. I'm sure he'll handle it. Having experienced many bot issues on other certain platforms, X, YouTube, Rumble, the list goes on, I think that is a super cool feature. So what are you waiting for? If you're interested, go to vtubernet.base44.app. Download the app, look at the website, make an account, and shoot a message to some of your favorite VTubers on the app. For any Freak Show viewers, I will also start trying to update my schedule on the app in case you're curious what I will be doing this week. You guys know my schedule is quite chaotic, but I'm trying to get better about that, and I think VtuberNet will be a good way for me to improve that with that feature. So hop on over and check it out. I think you will be pleased. Thank you so much. Okay, we're gonna jump into some random / lighthearted stories. I think we're done with these serious subjects. I think there's like one more, I think, in here, and it's not like it's not nearly as dark as like the Epstein story. I saw this and I thought it was really interesting. Space stories really freaking freak me out. Wow, what a way to say that, I know. Space stories really freak me out. At the same time, it is fascinating. There's generally something about space that scares me. I don't know, man. I don't like it. There's something about it. It's kind of like the same feeling you get from, like, what's really in the Mariana Trench, Things like that. Humanity's long-awaited return to lunar space captured with brilliant photographs aboard Artemis II. Americans and Canadians been delighted with images of the moon and Earth taken from onboard the Orion capsule. Yeah, pretty sure that sentence is fucked up. I'll be a grammar nerd and call that out. As it took 4 astronauts into lunar orbit for the first time since the Apollo program, Artemis II lifted off from Kennedy Space Center in Florida on April 1st, 2026, reached the moon on the 5th, and transited the moon's far side on the 6th. On Monday, the mission marked the farthest point humans have ever traveled from the surface of the Earth, about the width of the lower 48, plus 250,000 miles from home. On the way, the crew have kept their countrymen updated with all the sites from lunar sphere of influence, where the gravity of our satellite affects the capsule more than it does the gravity of Earth. Wow. NASA astronaut Christina Koch, the first woman to visit lunar space, was captured in a particularly striking photo, gazing out a cabin window at our planet while her hair dangled in microgravity. Oh, I saw a meme that was like, when guys want you to see something, when guys want you to see the scenery in a picture, it's just the picture. When girls want you to see the scenery, of course they have to show off their face and their hair and stuff too. I'm just kidding. Seriously, this is pretty cool. Wow, look at that. A view of Earth taken from the Orion spacecraft with the aurora in the northern hemisphere. Oh yeah, look at that! Oh, that's cool! Technically, these northern lights, this aurora, it happens down here too. It happens, I'm drawing a blank on what it's called, but it happens in the south too. It's just a lot harder to view because there's not a lot of space to do it from. Pretty sure around here somewhere is like literally the farthest point from any form of land in the world. Anyway, oh, here's the moon. View of the moon from the Artemis II mission. Cool. Mission Commander Chris Wiseman captured the Earth illuminated by the sun, with the polar aurora spreading out along the northern hemisphere. A striking image of the moon's near side, the side we see from Earth, was taken from the capsule that shows a major crater and former lava flow, while the bottom third of the photo captures the far side, totally pockmarked with impact sites. Oh yeah. Is this like supposed to be the former volcano or lava flow or something? Definitely see the impact. Wow. Cool. Artemis II is the mission that would return humans to lunar space to build up performance data and know-how for an eventual return to the moon's surface with Artemis III. No. We never went to space. This is flat. This is as flat as a pancake. I'm gonna keep my voice down because my mom's upstairs. My mom is actually a flat earther. What's even sadder is that her husband, my dad, works in fucking aviation. And part of charting flights is accounting for the curvature of the Earth. Okay, I hope you found that interesting. I thought that's a little update on what we're doing in space, I guess. Now, let's go back in time to Jeebus. So allegedly, people found the Shroud of Turin, which might have been like a burial cloth for Jesus. And I didn't look too much into it. I'm not a biblical person, sorry. But apparently now we're finding out the Shroud of Turin. Just saying, by the way, technically a biased source, a science website reporting on Jesus stuff. But anyway, the Shroud of Turin claimed to be Jesus' burial cloth contaminated with carrot and red coral DNA. An analysis of samples taken from the Shroud of Turin, the cloth thought by some to have been wrapped around Jesus, reveals a rich tapestry of animal and plant DNA. But what does it mean? The Shroud of Turin, which some people claim is Jesus' burial cloth, contains the DNA of multiple people, along with a huge array of other species, including carrots, melons, and red coral. Some of the DNA traces suggest there's an influence from India, which could mean the cloth originated there, researchers argue in a new study. However, there is a notable absence of species traditionally associated with the Levant region in stories in the Bible. What's more, some of the plant species detected on the shroud did not arrive in the Old World until the 16th century, which suggests the shroud was contaminated centuries later, experts told Live Science. Likely a fake, obviously. Wow. The famous shroud has moved around Europe for centuries, but the first documented mention of the shroud was in Liry, a village in northern France, in 1354. And even then, there were debates about whether it was an authentic relic from the crucifixion. The rectangular cloth measures 14.4 by 3.6 feet, or 4.4 by 1.1 meters, and bears the faint image of a man and numerous stains, some of which are claimed to be blood. It's the way they talk about it is interesting, I'll give it that much. It sounds like a relic that would be like the central point in like a Dan Brown book, you know, Da Vinci Code, something like that. It is interesting. The most robust evidence for the shroud's age comes from a carbon dating analysis carried out in 1989, which placed the shroud's creation between 1260 and 1390, firmly in the medieval period. And last year, work revealed that the human image on the shroud probably resulted from the cloth being laid on a low-relief sculpture. Okay. Some Christian scholars still believe the shroud is genuine and dates back to 2,000 years. Yet there is no evidence that the multi-shaft looms required to manufacture the type of cloth in the shroud existed in Europe, India, or the Levant region 2,000 years ago. These structures need a loom with 4 shafts that was invented in the Middle Ages in Europe. Andrea Nicolati, a historian at the University of Turin who was involved in the work, told Live Science. In 2015, Gianna Baraccia, a professor of genetics and genomics at the University of Padova in Italy, I'm probably mispronouncing so many names and words, I'm really sorry guys, and his colleagues suggested that the Shroud of Turin may have been made in India, based on genetic analysis of samples collected from the shroud in 1978. More powerful genomics techniques are available now. Yeah, that's how we are solving a bunch of cold cases. It's really interesting, this kind of stuff. How it appears in like forensic science and stuff. I love looking into that kind of stuff. I'm a bit of a nut for true crime. Baraccia and his colleagues did a new DNA and metagenomic analysis on the samples from 1978 to determine which species and any traces of DNA came from. The research was posted to preprint server bioRxiv, whatever that is, March 2022, and has not been peer-reviewed yet. The researchers found human DNA that seems to have come from multiple people, one of whom was the person who collected the samples in 1978. Bacterial species accounted for 10% to 31% of the DNA. Baraccia's team noted the presence of DNA from the Mediterranean red coral, Corallium rubrum, which suggests Mediterranean origins or transit through Mediterranean regions. Alright. That's kind of similar region, I guess. Kinda, yeah. Even if the coral came from a particular place, however, it doesn't mean the shroud was there too, Nicolati noted. Red coral perhaps makes people think of the Sea of Palestine, he said, adding that there was a much more likely scenario for how coral ended up on the shroud. It makes me think of the coral crucifixes and rosaries, or reliquaries that we know were placed in contact with the cloth. Baraccia's team found that cats and dogs accounted for about 44% of the animal DNA, but there were also traces from chickens, cattle, goats, sheep, pigs, horses, deer, and rabbits. In addition, there were slight traces of skin mites, ticks, and an assortment of fish. Plant species were richly represented too. Carrot DNA provided about 31% of the plant DNA. But there was also DNA from wheat, maize, rye, peppers, tomatoes, potatoes, melons, or cucumbers, and peanuts, as well as traces of grasses, bananas, almonds, walnuts, and oranges. Holy shit. Got a whole cornucopia of DNA from the food aspect of this, and none of that a lot of that doesn't strike me as the kind of stuff you would grow, much less find in like ancient Israel, that region. If Israel is the Israel in the book. I know there's conflicting reports about that. I don't know, man. Some of these plants may reflect typical agricultural practices in Europe and the Mediterranean, as the study author wrote. But some of these plants, such as bananas, potatoes, peppers, and tomatoes, were introduced to Europe mainly from the Americas in the 16th century and later. And the carrot DNA is genetically similar to cultivars bred from orange carrots originally grown in Western Europe. between the 15th and 16th centuries, which suggest relatively recent contamination, Baracha told Live Science via email. We are confident that this diversity of animal and plant species identified highlights the significant environmental contamination of the shroud that likely occurred in recent centuries, particularly following the voyages of Marco Polo and Christopher Columbus, he said. Notably, some species historically associated with the Mediterranean region were lacking. The vast range of animal and plant material doesn't seem indicative of any particular environment, but I noticed the absence of olives, dates, pomegranates, camels, and of course myrrh and aloes. Yeah, that I knew. I wasn't crazy, right? That sort of Israeli, Mediterranean-ish region, North Africa, North Middle East sort of region. That's not a place where you find a lot of that produce. Human DNA can be transferred to an object with or without touch, and it's the same with DNA from other animals and plants, so many traces may have ended up on the shroud due to its public displays in medieval cities. All the vegetables make me think of the market that is 100 meters, 330 feet, from the square where public exhibitions were held for centuries in Turin, or of the dust of the Chambéry when the shroud used to be displayed along a tree-lined avenue, Nicolati said. The researchers dated a couple of threads in the shroud, one to between 1451 and 1622, and the other between 1642 and 1800. These dates align with when the shroud was repaired in 1534, not long after it was damaged by fire, and in further conservation work in 1694, the team noted. Importantly, none of the new findings contradict the definitive carbon dating analysis carried out in 1989. However, more controversial is Baracha and colleagues' interpretation that nearly 40% of human DNA found on the shroud is from Indian lineages, suggesting the possibility that the yarn was produced in India. Nicolati doesn't think the shroud is likely to have come from India and remains convinced that it is a forgery, originating in medieval Europe as the carbon dating from 1989 implies. He is also not surprised that a range of human DNA was found on the cloth. I try to imagine how many people must have touched the shroud, all the instruments used by the American scholars in 1978, and even who may have touched and made the brushes that were used to dust the shroud periodically, he said. I think that's really interesting, but about what you would expect from news like this. The odds of finding, like, Jesus' death shroud, I mean, come on, man. Would we even know about that? Would we even know if they actually found something like that? This is one I'm probably gonna laugh a lot at. I gotta do it. As I said, the last politician I have net positive opinions of is Thomas Massie. And as always, wherever Massie goes, drama follows. Because the right will blow a gasket, and the left will blow a gasket. And I don't give a fuck about either. I was actually getting a lot of initial traffic, that's the word. I was drawing a lot of traffic initially on my channel, from, like, the sort of MAGA sort of base. As soon as I mentioned, my original video on Massie wasn't even meant to be like a Glaze Massie's kind of piece. I was just being objective and pointing out, here's where you're wrong when you say Massie is a secret Democrat operative who just wants to see the country burn, who wants to get nothing done, blah, 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 blah. Whatever the new accusation of the day is. As soon as I did that, especially on X, it's not quite as obvious on YouTube, but on X, as soon as I started defending Massie, you just straight into a crater. And I don't know where I was coming from, because even from the beginning, I've always criticized Trump. I've never been like, oh my god, I love Trump. Oh my god, I'm an undying Trump supporter. I'm pretty sure I said in one of my earliest videos, I didn't even vote for the guy in this cycle. And this whole MAGA base that I was drawing attention from immediately just started calling me a fucking, you were a grifter this whole time. I've never liked Trump. What the fuck are you talking about? Just because I lean right? Is there no right wing without Trump anymore? That's what these culties want you to believe. Ugh. Anyway, I just hate culties. I hate culties on both sides, man. And Massie is a challenge to those culties, and so is Rand Paul, and that is why I like Paul and Massie They're like, and I don't like the Democrats, by the way. Fuck the Democrats. There's a lot of leftist shit that I still don't vibe with. There's a lot of shit I'm pretty liberal on, especially in the realm of like social subjects. Stay out of the crazy ends, and yeah, I get along with you. Like the crazy, the Hassan Piker sort of ends, you know. I'll get along with you. I get along with everybody, pretty much. I wouldn't even let politics like come into my personal life like that. One of my favorite political YouTubers is Head. I'm pretty sure she's like a liberal who dates a conservative or is married a Republican or something. And everybody's like, you're crazy for that. And people on the right, people on the left are, you're crazy for that. How could you date someone with different political... I'm like, it just makes sense. I can't imagine letting... I'm pretty passionate about politics. At least, like, following them. I cannot imagine, like, letting politics infiltrate my personal life to such a degree. Like, that level, that degree. That I'd be like, oh my god, you're the exact kind of person I want to marry, but I can't marry you because you voted for Harris. You voted for Trump. If you didn't vote for Massie. No, I'm kidding. But seriously, I don't get that, man. I don't get it. Anyway, let's see what the Massie drama of the day is. Why Ed Gallrein, this is Massie's op, who's challenging him in his district, isn't interested in debating Thomas Massie. Oh gee, wonder why. Fun fact, I'll try to post I'll try to post the graph. Massie mainly makes his money from grassroots movements, most of which are based in Kentucky. And no money from AIPAC, which I appreciate. I don't like AIPAC, I really don't. Ed Gallrein, not only is he taking big lump sums from AIPAC and other Trump mega donors that don't... They couldn't list a single city in Kentucky, I'm pretty sure. Look at his popularity rating. Nobody knew who this guy was until Massie became a problem to Trump. But we're supposed to believe Ed Gallrein is the most grassroots Kentucky representative there is. I talk to my neighbors. I live in Kentucky. I don't live in Massie's district, but I live in Kentucky. And I talk to people around here. Nobody knows who the fuck Ed Gallrein is, even now. Everybody knows Thomas Massie. Not everybody loves him, but a lot of people do. A lot of people. 'Cause a lot of Kentuckians, in case you haven't noticed, they're not doing hot under the Trump or Democrat administrations. They fucking hate everybody. Someone like Massie really speaks to them. Really represents them, you could say, as is his job. Ed Gallrein does not. Ed Gallrein is another yes-man that just wants to push Trump shit through. And they don't like it. At least in my region. LaGrange, Kentucky. U.S. Representative Andy Barr stopped in Oldham County on April 9th to court voters in his bid to replace U.S. Senator Mitch McConnell, joined by Ed Gallrein, the candidate he's backing to unseat fellow U.S. Representative Thomas Massie. Fuck you, Andy Barr. I would agree with getting Mitch McConnell out of office. That guy needs to go. He's painful to listen to. He's a pain in the ass of actually good policy. We have, like, the coolest senator in Kentucky, Rand Paul, and then we have, like, one of the worst, fucking Mitch McConnell. It's like he votes against all the good policies of the right, despite being a Republican, quote unquote. And then when the topics that you would hope he votes on with the left, hoping he might be more libertarian, for example, like weed, abortion laws, common sense ones, right? He still objects. Like, oh my god, just such a pain in the ass. I hate Mitch McConnell. I don't know who put him in office except for maybe, like, disgruntled boomers. Anyway, in the back room of Bully Barbecue off Route 42, Barr met with voters and spoke about the upcoming primary elections in May. Although billed as a Barr campaign event, Gallrein gave a short speech at the start, occasionally chiming in on Barr's remarks and speaking with voters as well. Barr made headlines when he endorsed Gallrein over Massie in February, a move Massie called a political stunt to gain approval from the president. True? That's who Trump wants? That's who Trump is after right now. He just wants yes men. He literally does not give a fuck about anybody's issues as long as they're saying yes to his own. Trump, who has not made an endorsement in the Senate race, has thrown his weight behind Gallrein after years of an ongoing feud with Massie. How dare you call me out for partying with a sex offender and then refusing to release the files that I'm involved in? Despite his growing endorsement and a trip to Kentucky where he stumped for Gallrein, it could still be a close fight. A new independent poll from Qantas Insights found 46.8% of likely registered voters support Massie and 37.7% backed Gallrein, with 14% undecided. But the nearly 10-point difference doesn't worry Gallrein, who's chosen to focus on his tight alliance with the president, and the fact that Trump won the state with more than 64% of vote in 2024. Yeah, Trump totally hasn't changed his position since then. Gallrein, who's chosen to focus on his tight alliance with the president. Bro is locked on, he is spinning, he is doing tricks on Trump's cock, he is swirling it in his mouth, he is up in there. I'm sorry if that disgusts you, I don't know a better way to describe this behavior. Everything fucking wrong with Kentucky. We have the 7th worst healthcare in the fucking country. We have the 2nd highest rate of adult depression. We have the highest rate of cancer death. We have so many things that are fucking wrong with us. Our infrastructure sucks. Our roads suck. And you're going to focus your campaign on your alliance with President Trump. Massie could do more to call out the issues in our state. He really could. This is what I mean when I say net positive opinions and not 100% positive opinions. All politicians kind of suck. And to be fair, Massie's not a local politician. His job is more federal than that. And instead of talking about like literally anything Kentuckians would care about, actually, you're going to talk about being a cocksucker for Trump. Professional, certified orange cocksucker. Great, buddy. Great job. Great job. Massie's main focus in the federal space right now? Hey, can we please get justice for these child victims who were likely assaulted, tortured, potentially murdered, potentially cannibalized? According to these files that you're trying to hide and trying to run cover for the perpetrators? Gallrein? Yes, Trump. Yes, Daddy. Yes, my orange daddy. What's going on right now really drives what I would call the real polling, Gallrein said. They want our nation to be America first, Kentucky. Always. The president liked it when I came up with that. Yeah, sure. The Qantas Insights poll found 36% of participants said the president's endorsement makes no difference, showing that although the president's approval has given Gallrein a bump in the polls, it might not be a slam dunk. No shit. Gallrein was non-committal on whether or not he'd debate the sitting congressman as the primary gets closer. Something Massie has hit Gallrein hard about on X. How is that not a red flag, guys? Massie, debate me, bro. As politicians do, by the way. It's not some Twitter argument that's going to go nowhere, like, Asmongold versus Hassan or something. That's something politicians should actually do. If only to, show off their positions, and obviously they're not changing anybody's minds. Massie, debate me, bro. Debate me on the topic of the Epstein files. Debate me on the topic of the Constitution. Debate me on the topic of, consistency. On grassroots movements. On literally anything. Gallrein? No. I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna do that. We were talking about draft dodging earlier. This guy's a debate dodger. And that is always a red flag when it comes to these politicians, isn't it? Massie had nearly 15 years counting when he first started running in 2012 to make a case to these people, Gallrein said. And now he wants a platform to badmouth the president, the Republican Party, and the conservatives, and then regrettably, he'll use that again to continue the disinformation against folks. What has he said against conservatism? That we shouldn't lock people up for smoking a blunt? Oh my god, you guys are so fucking obnoxious. So, remember, keep this in mind. Thomas Massie has voted anywhere from 91 to 99% with conservative causes. Trump's new best friend, especially in foreign policy, is Lindsey Graham and Ted Cruz, who are fucking warhawks that vote over 50% with the Democrats. You can have your own opinions on whether you on what you like about the Democrats and the Republicans. That's not what I'm getting into here. From an objective viewpoint, you would think the person who's an enemy of conservatism would not vote 90+% with the conservatives. What's going on here? But remember, guys, remember. Do not forget. Don't forget it. Massie changed. Trump never did. Our records speak for themselves. Oh, they sure do. Oh, they speak for themselves, all right. What's going to change on that stage? You tell me. You're the guys who are changing everything as you go. As for the pair teaming up for an event in the last weeks before the primary, Barr said he believes he can grow support among Gallrein voters. Barr, you're not growing support among everybody unless you're fucking paying them. So, tell me if you're a fan of Andy Barr. You're probably getting a bot. Gallrein voters who may be leaning toward primary challenger and former Attorney General Daniel Cameron. Cameron's support base is from Massie supporters, and I think I have a lot of room to grow in northern Kentucky among Gallrein voters, Trump voters, Barr said. As they start to learn that Cameron is working with forces against President Trump, they're starting to realize, well, we need to support Andy Barr, because Andy Barr is obviously supporting the president. You'd have to assume that Kentuckians really fucking care about party loyalty, or much less than party loyalty, fucking person loyalty. Like one of the homes of conspiracy theorists. We're one of the homes of people who want to just erase the federal government at this point. We're like a very purple state. We vote extremely deep ruby red in presidential elections. We're run by a fucking Democrat. What are you talking about? We're run by a fucking Democrat. One of the few moderate Democrats in the country, by the way. The kind of Democrat that passed constitutional carry. We're not... I would hope. This is my interpretation. Okay? From what I know about this state, from what I have gleaned talking to people in my area at least, from what I've seen online, Kentucky's not a state of party. We're a state of somebody just fix our shit, please. Despite the fact that the state hasn't seen a Democratic senator since Wendell Ford in 1999, Barr positioned himself as a hard block in the Democrats' path to the Senate seat, casting doubt on Cameron's or Lexington's executive Nate Morris's ability to win the seat. Don't take the general election for granted, Barr said. Democrats can win statewide in Kentucky, and our governor proved it. Yeah, no shit, that's what I just said. And you know how he did it? He defeated my primary opponent, Mr. Cameron, by 19 points in my district. That same district, same turnout, that I won by 25 points. Fuck you, Andy Barr. Thomas Massie for the win. Again, I don't live in his district, but I am hoping he keeps his seat. I am hoping Rand Paul keeps his seat. Dethrone Mitch McConnell, though. We can agree on that much. I have one more story for you guys. Make sure everything at decent quality. I wanted to react to a video because I haven't really done a lot of that. And I noticed MoistCritikal came out with 2 new videos, and I was having trouble deciding between them this morning. There's another high-profile cheating scandal, or some tard who burned down a warehouse. That was absolutely insane. But I've already pre-watched the warehouse one. I kind of wanted to go into the cheating one. I wanted to do it blind. We're going into this blind.
There is a pretty big story that's unfolding in the NFL right now with a very famous reporter named Diana Rossini, formerly of SportsCenter fame. Now she's with The Athletic, and she was seen getting real close and comfy with Mike Vrabel, the Patriots head coach, at a resort. There's quite a few pictures of them together, holding hands, hugging, lounging by the pool in the hot tub, just the 2 of them.
Casual. Very, very casual, guys. Look how casual they are. My god. Patriots. Why am I always hearing some drama about the Patriots? I'm not a football girly. I know nothing about football. My dad was into it. He played it when he was younger. I remember it playing on the TV all the time. I'm sitting in his office right now with Dallas Cowboys memorabilia all around me, and I still know nothing, jack shit about football. Yet still, if I had to root for any football team, I'm either going like family loyalty because Dallas Cowboys, or I would go the Baltimore Ravens because there's a Poe reference in there, an Edgar Allan Poe reference. Baltimore Ravens. Quote the Raven nevermore, bitch. But even still, despite my lack of knowledge, despite my absolute tardation when it comes to football, I'm still always hearing some form of drama about the Patriots. What is with that team, man?
Two of them. And this is causing quite a stir because Mike Vrabel and Diana Rossini are both married to other people. And the evidence provided here is causing a divide, with some claiming that this is clear evidence of cheating and others saying, no, this isn't scandalous, this is actually just normal business etiquette.
Would you describe what we just saw as normal business etiquette? Holding the hand of your boss and hugging him, if that's supposed to be normal etiquette for you, you need to call human resources. That's a concern. If you're being forced or coerced, that is, anyway. If you're in that shit willingly, I mean, you do you, but that ain't business etiquette. How people defend that kind of I'll never understand how people can look at that kind of shit and just say, totally normal. Yep. Nothing to see here, case closed.
She's just there trying to get the scoop, and this is just all above board professionalism. It's some spicy, messy shit here, and I really want to go over it, so I'm going to show you everything. Real quick, though, I want to make a mention of something that people keep bringing up on stream, so I'm just going to talk about it real quick in this video. There is a Spotify page called Penguin Z0. There's also one for MoistCritikal Gaming, and people have stumbled upon it, and a lot of people believe that this is some bad actor nefariously re-uploading all of my shit over there. I just want to make it clear, if
I saw that, I would have guessed it was like some kind of an imposter account. I'm not gonna lie.
It's me. Well, actually, Aaron. Aaron was the one that's just been uploading on Spotify. Now it's another friend of ours that does it, but it is actually us doing that.
Okay.
Because there's no reason not to do that, especially because of that exploit I talked about a while ago, where there were some bad actors that would re-upload people's audio clips to Spotify in order to copyright claim their actual YouTube videos.
Wait, people actually did that? That's so shitty. What the fuck, dude? What the fuck, dude? But yeah, I would totally listen to Penguin Zero in like podcast format. I love listening to like these Penguin Zero videos. I like that he's really neutral. I mean, sometimes obviously don't agree with everybody 100% of the time, but overwhelmingly, I really enjoy his videos.
So about a year ago, we tried to just get ahead of that when that was starting to pop off, and we just started uploading my full videos over there. So don't panic. It's no one doing anything sketchy. It's just us re-uploading all the content over there, just for the sake of safety. And again,
no
there's really no reason not to.
No panicking.
So I guess also shouting out to Spotify here. If you have Spotify and prefer to watch or listen to things over there, videos are available there too. Anyway, let's now dive into the spaghetti and the meatballs here. Diana and Mike were spotted at a luxury hotel a couple weekends ago, and they spent quite a bit of time together. So here's a picture of them holding hands, and then here's them hugging on that same like rooftop area, looking out at the mountains and all of the
casual business etiquette, guys. At least they weren't at a Coldplay concert, right? Oh my god. She looks so much smaller. No judgment toward short ladies or short guys, or it's just something I noticed. She looks so small compared to He's not a player, mind you. He's not an NFL player. He's like a former coach, I think.
Scenery out there. There's also photos of them in the hot tub together and by the pool together, and it's only ever
Oh god,
just
not
the
the hot
two
tub.
of them. It looks like your fantasy fairy tale vacation getaway. It honestly looks like they're on their honeymoon right now. And obviously this kind of was a big deal because they are both married to other people.
Holy
and
shit,
Diana
dude.
in particular has been kind of vocal dunking on her husband over the years. She actually got a bit of a reputation for clowning on him and seemingly like belittling him.
And that wasn't your sign to leave? Publicly berating you? Oh my god, it's like Piers Morgan's wife all over again. Is this some kind of fetish? For these sort of celebrity figures? What the fuck, dude? What the fuck?
Publicly in front of the whole world to kind of point and laugh at her husband.
To address this, it happened earlier in our program today. For those of you who weren't watching, Diana Rossini said this.
And I think we all do weird things when we're in love, and we overshare and overpost. And look, he's getting married to a beautiful actress. I'm married to someone average. I don't post a lot about him. If I was married to someone beautiful, I'd overpost too.
Now this doesn't seem nice. We have put together photos.
You need a boyfriend. I tell my husband that all the time. No, dude. Oh, that's so fucked. Genuinely, I just hate cheaters. I mean, if you're a dude with a humiliation fetish and you like being a cuck, like iDubbbz or something, go for it. You go for it, dude. Whatever. But just in general, cheating, male or female, for any of the weird manosphere, femaleosphere, radical femmes that try to insist that men cheating is natural, it's what they're built for, or women cheating is natural, they're deprived by their husband. No. Across the board, just no. And I hate reading those takes from either gender. I genuinely hate that shit, man. It's such a shitty thing to do.
Of Diana's husband here for everyone to see, so you can make some amends on national television.
We're average together, and you know what the worst part is? He sent me a text during that segment, not watching because he actually works for a living, and he said, "Good luck today, be great on Get Up." So the guy's got a heart of gold, and here I am on national TV killing him. Look, we're average together, but he makes me above average because he married me. So, I am so sorry. I need to really stop killing my husband on television. I'm going to be divorced by Christmas.
That is heartbreaking to hear. Imagine you sending a text to the love of your life like, "Hey, good luck, I know you're gonna kill it today." And then you come home and see that she's just like, "Yeah, I'm married to someone average. If it was someone beautiful, I'd overpost too."
Okay, yeah, when you put it like that, that is that's extremely shitty. At first, it's like, okay, just saying you're average people, I guess. Oh, man. And then publicly admitting you don't find your husband attractive whatsoever. That's pretty fucked up to do. To your husband, even if, oh my, just no. When you put it like, okay.
Bro, even just like picturing that's got me going into like a fugue state, like I'm traveling through space and time. Like that is
Same
brutal.
Penguin.
That is awful. And then you can see under the video there, that's just a screenshot someone had taken where, again, she just publicly clowns on her husband, where someone made a comment saying, "You need a boyfriend," and she says, "Yeah, I tell that to my husband all the time." Ooh-wee. Jeepers. Like that, I don't know how that just gets played off as like a joke.
Yeah.
That's just a terrible thing to say about your life.
Yeah. That doesn't even read as a joke. You can add LOL at the end. It's not funny. If I was like, if I had a boyfriend and I was joking like that, that would be extremely fucked up. Like there's different humor that you use for different positions in your life. And it's not like you can't be complete, wallflowers about it. My dad still teases my mom about like her crush on who was it? Carl Urban, I think. He still does that all the time, and of course my mom's like, stop. Yeah. They have, you can have fun with that as a married couple still, but doing shit like this on social media, especially when your husband is like a public figure, so you know people are going to take that out of context, people are going to get weird with it, people are going to draw conclusions, as we are now, to be fair. I think there's strong evidence to our conclusions here. It's fucked up, dude. You shouldn't do that you shouldn't be doing that when you're married. I'm sorry, you just shouldn't. I mean, again, you don't have to be a wallflower just because you got married, but shit like that, humor like that, it just reads so differently when you actually have a significant other in your life, as opposed to when you don't. And it is fucked up.
Partner, your fucking supposed soulmate that you're married to just publicly being like, yeah, they're average, they're not beautiful or anything. If they were beautiful, I'd probably be posting a lot about them too, but I'm kind of ashamed, so I throw them into the basement and try and just forget that they exist because they're not beautiful, they're just average. And then like, oh yeah, I really need a boyfriend. I keep telling my husband that, haha. That's fucked up, man. And I feel like if a guy went out there and said like, oh, my wife, she's a real battle axe. She's not really a looker, so...
Yeah, imagine if this was the other way around and it was a guy saying this about his wife. Oh my god. He would be clowned on so hard. Universal. Fuck that guy. Except maybe Andrew Tate or someone like that. Pearl Davis, I guess. Aside from like that little ultra red pill audience on X or Kick or whatever. Universal rejection. It does feel like people go softer when it's like a lady initiating it.
I don't like to post about her.
It should be a standard applied across the board.
Far different than Diana Rossini's clowning on her husband has been. I just don't know who hears that and thinks that it's like, ha ha ha, in good fun. I'm sure her husband also really appreciates when he gets insulted on live TV, and not even like playfully insulted, just called average at best. Your wife going out there on TV in front of the whole world, in front of God and anime, and just say like, yeah, my husband's not beautiful, so I don't like to post about him.
This is also assuming like guys don't get self-conscious about their appearance, especially when they are getting on in years and they're getting older. It absolutely is an issue. One of the reasons we hate so much like this, as Penguin was saying, when it's the other way around and it's like a man calling his lady ugly or at least average or something, is because of we know like there's like this universal sort of, almost universal I should say, this universal sort of like detestment or understanding that female beauty standards are higher and blah 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 blah. Ladies get a lot more self-conscious about their looks because of higher female beauty standards, whatever. But that doesn't mean like there aren't these unrealistic expectations for male beauty standards that still exist, and that they aren't applied to men that men get compared to all the time, if only by social media, that can weigh on their conscience again, usually when they get older, because then you run into balding issues, you gain weight more easily, things of that nature, which is all totally a normal part of aging that shouldn't be shamed, in the same way that a lady kind of losing some of her figure after childbirth, that shouldn't be shamed either. I just you get what I'm saying, right? I just kind of hate that there's like this idea that you can just clown on men being average or ugly, even if they're your own husband or your own partner, because men don't care about their looks. No, there are men who do get self-conscious about their appearance, about their height, about their figure, about their hair, about their just general appearance. Either way, I hate when people assume there is no beauty standard for men, much less an unrealistic one. We can just clown on them all day. We can call them ugly, we can call them average without any sort of, we can call them ugly or average without any sort of pushback. It's fine. Especially because we're ladies, everything we do gets brushed under the rug eventually. Now, ladies, you're not on easy mode. You shouldn't be doing that to your husband, I'm sorry. I'm not sorry, fuck you, actually. You shouldn't be doing that to your husband, okay? Making your man feel more self-conscious that he's just average, that he's, he's bigger than he should be, that he's balder than he should be, or thinner than he should be. You shouldn't be doing that if you actually love your husband like that. That's not what you do to someone you love.
That's extremely hurtful. Anyway, the point of me showing you this is that in light of these pictures and the story, which we're going to get a little more into the story, it feels believable that she would be unfaithful to her husband because she's made a habit out of publicly belittling him, insulting him, and just point blank saying that she doesn't find him beautiful. It's not like she ever, went back on that, no, actually, my husband is beautiful. She's like, no, look, he's average, but I'm average too. We're average together. We're both average in this together. But if he was beautiful, I'd be posting about him a lot. So, it's all good. It's all fine. Now, in light of this story blowing up, there has been a statement from the Athletic executive editor Steven Ginsberg saying that the photos are misleading and lack essential context. These were public interactions in front of many people. Diana is a premier journalist covering the NFL, and we're proud to have her at the Athletic.
So they're saying it's because she's a journalist that she had to hold hands and hug the dude? Pretty sure that's not how journalism works. Yeah, you can surely, you can just imagine George Stephanopoulos, getting up to hold Trump's hand and give him a big hug. Big old bear hug. As soon as the cameras turn off. Pretty sure that's not how journalism works.
Rossini said in her own statement that many reporters in her field interact with sources outside of stadium and work venues, and the photos don't represent the group of 6 people who were hanging out during the day.
So they're doing it in a group, so what?
Basically, they're claiming that there were more people there, and this is all just professional.
That didn't stop. There was a group of 10,000 people at that fucking Coldplay concert. Didn't stop people from clowning on those cheaters.
This is something normal that, people in her field interact with sources outside of the stadium, which is very true. That does happen a lot. Sometimes you'll even see them, go hang out at a bar or go out to dinner or something. And that is professional. It's also very different than going to a luxury hotel and holding hands with your source, hugging your source, that kind of thing. That's very different. And they're claiming that there was a group of 6 people with them, but none of the alleged eyewitnesses corroborate that theory, that game theory. According to 3 other eyewitnesses, they told Page 6 that they didn't see Vrabel or Rossini with a group of friends or anything. They said, no, he was with a girl. And the
Busted!
sequence of photographs taken at various points during the day show only the 2 of them. Now, according to a source close to Diana, she was staying at the hotel during a hiking trip with 2 female friends, and Vrabel told Page 6 that they and the coach drove up for the day with another pal, and then all drove back to their own hotel some 2 hours away after hanging out. But then, I guess, Diana and Vrabel were just still left alone there at the hotel after their friends all came through and partied and
I'm not laughing at them cheating, by the way. I'm just laughing at the ridiculousness of that, of these explanations. It's always fascinating to see how these sort of public figures kind of squirm and grasp at straws for explanations when they're kind of busted like this. like Pam Bondi going, I'm not Attorney General anymore, so you can't question me about the Epstein files that were my responsibility and I totally botched. Even though the several other Attorney Generals have been subpoenaed.
Enjoyed their time together, I guess that's the story. Probably worth mentioning that hotel they stay at, the Ambiente, prides itself on being a romantic getaway, boasting on its website about the 158 proposals that took place in the thousands of anniversaries and honeymoons that have been celebrated at that hotel.
Adults
that
only,
seems to be
too.
Its main shtick. That's the big thing about this location. So it is a little peculiar that this was the hotel where everyone decided, let's go party at the Ambiente together, and then we're all gonna leave except for Mike and Diana. You guys can hang out here. We're gonna all drive 2 hours back to the other hotel. It's perplexing. It is a very interesting explanation here.
They're talking about this place like it's some kind of fucking peppermill, some kind of circus. Just order drinks and have fun. No. Ugh.
Here. Now, personally, even if that is true, I still think them holding hands and hugging and shit is not for the sake of the story and trying to get information out of her source or anything. That goes way above and beyond the Call of Duty there. That is not something reporters, I believe, typically choose to do. It just
Unless
doesn't
they're
really
the
check out.
ladies working
so
for James
personally, I'm of
O'Keefe.
the belief that this is scandalous, especially due to Diana's very open book policy on dunking on her husband.
Especially because this is a journal. This is journalism on the NFL. Lady feels so compelled, so passionate about this that she's gonna, she's gonna hold his hand, she's gonna unbutton the top button of her blouse, show off that cleavage, trying to seduce her way into deep, gritty information, a gritty story about the next fucking Eagles play, or the Patriots play, whatever the fuck. I know that's how James O'Keefe goes about getting info out of Fed boys. That's pretty badass. I don't think it's necessary here, and I don't think it was the intention. I really don't.
Feels like this is something that is very out of line. I don't think this is something that should be happening between a reporter and their source. If this is actually normal, it shouldn't be, because this does feel like it's a romantic getaway between the two of them.
I do
believe that that's what's happening here. I don't really buy the argument that this is all just normal reporting. I just don't. But I'll go ahead and show you a perspective from someone who does believe that. Another big player in this field.
I don't think we really knew what was going on. Like, that's the first thing. We actually don't know. It's a bunch of still photos. We don't know. And people nowadays jump to conclusions so quickly, myself.
Yeah, somebody posted a still picture. Somebody posted a still picture of this married lady with another man trying to suck on his tonsils, trying to deep throat that tongue. But it's a still picture. We don't know what's actually. We don't know the context. We don't. People are jumping to conclusions, man. They're just jumping to conclusions.
Included. First minute I saw it, I was like, oh, what is she doing? Blah, blah. And then I'm like, I don't actually know what was going on. And I talked to a friend of mine, a woman reporter who has been in journalism for a long time, and she's like, I don't want to jump to conclusions either, but it's definitely not smart of her to be in a hot tub at the same time as an NFL coach, so she's covering.
He keeps mentioning the hot tub photos and that it was a bad judgment call to do that. And he's right, that is a bad judgment call to do that. But he also neglects to talk about like the much more romantic photos between the two of them, which is the hand holding and the hugging and like longingly gazing out at the open
and the context behind where they are,
that kind of thing, where it looks like they are a couple. So he is focused on like the hot tub ones and trying to come up with like explanations for how that could be normal for reporting, and I just don't subscribe to that idea at all. He just keeps saying that it wasn't a good idea optics wise, as opposed to like believing something scandalous unfolded.
And I don't disagree. I also think there's a huge double standard. Like if I were doing a story about Mike Vrabel, let's just say I was assigned a piece by The Athletic, and he's like, yeah, I'm just gonna, why don't you hang out with me at the pool today? You can interview me then. And I'm like, great. I hang out with him for the day on the pool. And at one point he's like, oh, my back stiffens up. I'm gonna go in the hot tub. You wanna go in the hot tub? And I'll be like, yeah, I have a bad back, sure. Like nobody would be like, reporter Jeff Pearlman has cozy relationship with Mike Vrabel. It is a woman thing. And it is unfair, but a reality for women reporters that they really have to be, it's unfair, but cautious.
That example completely falls apart though when you look at the other photos of them together. Jeff, if there were photos of you and Vrabel hanging out by the pool, fucking drinking brewskis, giggling, whatever, and then going into the hot tub, just hanging out, posting up just two bros being dudes, that's one thing. And you're right, no one's gonna be like, Mike and Jeff here are canoodling. But if there are then also photos of the two of you holding hands and maybe you nuzzling your head onto his chest as he's embracing you tightly with a big hug, like in the photos of him and Diana, then there definitely would be people that are saying, you have a very cozy relationship with Mike. This feels as though it is something more romantic as opposed to professional.
Thank you, Penguin. Yeah, I was gonna say, I can kind of get that there would be, a lot more eyes on like a lady reporter or a lady assistant. Just in general, a lady with a married dude, and you're getting these pictures behind the scene, and it's a public figure, and you want to make a scandal out of it. I get there's a lot that can be fabricated there, you can jump to conclusions from, things like that. First, you're hanging out in a hot tub, which doesn't matter if it's man, woman, or woman. Across the board, generally speaking, it's unlikely. Maybe there's some romantic going on there, maybe not. Unlikely, I would say. You're just two people in a hot tub. Multiple people are allowed to hot tub at once. Woman, man, woman, across the board, snuzzling each other like that. The context changes. The context of the hot tub photo likewise changes. And, on top of that, the context of where they are, an adults-only romantic getaway in the mountains. Not the kind of location you would just kind of set up shop to do your one-time interview. It's out of the way. It's got this, certain atmosphere that isn't optimal, I would say, for like a group of 6 friends coming together for drinks and to just talk about stories, NFL stories, football stories, no less. No, I don't know, man. No, just no.
1000%, Jeff. That would absolutely happen. Because there's no way of explaining why you'd be holding hands and hugging each other. What? Did Mike's hands start cramping up so you were massaging them? Is that why they were holding hands? His hands they were cold, so they needed some body heat? Or what about like the big hug? Was this like an action shot and Mike had stumbled over, he slipped on a banana peel and was falling, so then he grabbed on to Diana and the two just ended up like hugging in order to balance out Mike? I doubt it. There's no real explanation for that other than just being cozy, Jeff.
Dramatic moment in some sort of Arctic or mountain climbing movie. You gotta share the body heat with a big old bear hug. Put in a sunny mountain resort.
When writing about, in particular, men, and like, if I was doing a Sean McVay profile and Sean McVay was like, why don't we just meet and we'll just go out to dinner and grab a bite? I wouldn't even think twice. I'd be like, sure. But if a woman reporter is seen with Mike Vrabel out at a restaurant, you could easily see, page 6, photos of Mike Vrabel with this reporter. Is this an affair? What is this?
I don't really think that example works all that well because reporters going out to dinner with the person they're interviewing is already normalized for both men and women. And yes, there definitely will be some people that make the assumption like, oh, this celebrity was with this reporter at dinner by candlelight, thus they must be dating, this must...
Exactly, and that's just across the board. Because man, woman, even if it is just an innocent reporter asking questions over some lunch or some dinner or something, people are going to draw a conclusion. Like it or not, we just live in reality. People are going to draw conclusions when they see a man and a woman sitting together. Why feed it by hopping in a hot tub together at a mountain resort and hold hands and hug each other? That's not gonna end well. After you have publicly called your husband average and that you want a boyfriend. Yeah. Which, by the way, if this was a known gay dude doing all the same things with another man, if this was a known lesbian woman doing all the same things with another woman, you could say the same thing.
Be some kind of, big nefarious affair, but that's a much bigger assumption to make. Like, that one is more of a leap because that is something that does actively happen often with both men and women reporters. What doesn't happen often is what we're seeing here with Diana and Mike, with the holding hands, hugging, that kind of thing, at a resort known for, like, honeymoons and getaways and proposals and stuff like that. A romantic resort getaway where it is only the two of them that are seen. The other people there's no evidence that they were actually there, at least not from everything that's available at this moment, other than people claiming that they were there, like the individuals claiming that they were there. None of the eyewitnesses note that there was anyone besides the two of them. That is much different than just going to dinner with your source.
Which that in itself is another red flag, because it's only your testimony that is saying this was a group project. There's nothing romantic about it, not one-on-one or anything like that. Literally everybody else that they've talked to that has offered their insight is claiming, it was literally just them. You get a mismatch in stories like that. That's a red flag.
So it's just such a painful double standard. Another thing is she has a very long, high quality reputation. And I'm just not willing to jump in there was something nefarious going on here. They're having an affair, they're having a scandal, blah, blah, blah. I'm just not there. Now, maybe I'm wrong, but I'm not.
Yes.
I'm not taking a bunch of photos and doing what we do in 2026, jumping all over it. If there was video, I guess maybe, if one of them admitted it, if a spouse, blah, blah, blah. I just don't know. Now, all that being said, is it smart of her to go in a hot tub with an NFL coach? I know it's unfair, but no.
Again, he's so fixated on just the hot tub photo. I don't know if that's all he saw is like the pool and hot tub photo and he didn't see the others. I really don't know, but
probably.
That's not like the most telling one, I would argue.
The context changes so much with the other photos. I feel like if you actually saw the other photos, you wouldn't be having this opinion.
Again, it's very possible they're not having an affair, but this behavior is certainly not professional, and it is very weird to be acting this way with your source. Anyway, I'm sure there will be additional information on the relationship between these two, and I'm going to keep paying attention to it because I'm actually pretty interested to see how it all unfolds here. Anyway, that's really about it. See ya.
Be sure to go like his video. Well said, Mr. Penguin. Mr. Moist, whatever you prefer. Allegedly, supposedly, possibly, yes, all those things, theoretically, potentially, judging from these photos, not just the hot tub photos, all the photos, the eyewitness testimonies so far, the mismatch in those testimonies with their own story, the context of the location, and the lady's history with publicly kind of throwing shade at her husband. Maybe they are innocent and just don't have great boundaries. But I'll say this: I'd be willing to bet money on it. I'd be willing to bet that Mr. Jeff was wrong, and there is something more. There's something more going on here. Just saying. I'd be willing to bet some money on that. Okay, well that's all I got for today. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Please be sure to. Oh my god, I have so much to edit. Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe to reward me for all of this. Please leave your opinions. I'll try to respond to all of them. And hopefully you enjoyed, and I will see you in another video sometime soon. My friends, my spectators, thank you so much for watching, and farewell.